remember I mentioned at the beginning of the interview, you can buy a 700, 800 square feet apartment in oceanfront building. Well, those apartments you buy for 159 and $160,000 if you buy cash with the developer, and it will cost you another $25,000 to furnish it and condition it to rent it. I can tell you for a fact, here we manage many of those apartments on Airbnb and short-term rentals for our foreign clients. And
Hi, everybody. Jose Luis Morales here. Welcome back to another episode of the Residual Real Estate Agent Show, the show that helps you get better educated on all real estate entrepreneurship and finance to help you reach financial freedom. Today, we're talking to Berliza. She is out of Panama. She is a real estate attorney and also a real estate agent. And today, Berliza is going to be educating us on the home buying process, how to purchase property in Panama. Welcome to the show, Berliza. How are you?
hi, Jose Luis, how are you? I'm very good. We're going to try to do this in English. As you know, Panama, our language here, the native language is Spanish, but
Uh-huh.
we'll try our best to do it in English as well.
I
And
appreciate you doing that.
you're very welcome. And as Jose Luis said, I am a real estate attorney with over 17 years of practice in the real estate industry in Panama. I also manage to do a lot of relocation. So
Mhm.
we are very involved in the international industry. We try to assist to conventions, etc., and bring clients from abroad to Panama. So we more than sell real estate, we sell Panama as a brand. So I hopefully I'll be able to answer most of your questions regarding how to buy property in Panama,
Mhm.
how to assist a foreign client to purchase real estate in Panama, whether
Sounds
it's
good.
for investment or a second home.
Sounds good. So let's start off there. Like, if I wanted to purchase a property in Panama, what would be the first step? Like, I know in the United States, there's websites that I can look for properties for sale. There's like Zillow, Redfin,
Yeah.
Trulia. Are most of the properties posted online somewhere, or is
Yes.
that something that is mainly like pocket listings, like only individual brokers? Or what would be the first step if I wanted to become
Well,
a
the first step, of course, nowadays everybody goes online. As the United States and Europe and many other countries, of course, we manage a lot of the business online. There are a couple of websites or platforms that most realtors use. We do have an MLS, but it's a very small MLS, and it's not a public MLS, to say that way. It's an MLS that we use within the national local association of realtors, which is ACOBIR. It's one of three associations, and if you're a member of their association, you can use that at the MLS, and it works like the MLS in the United States as well. But it's a small MLS, as I said. That association of realtors has around 400 agents, and not everybody fits the platform with the MLS. Is relatively new, probably 10 to 12 years of use in Panama. I use the MLS primarily when I list properties. I prefer to be a listing agent, but you can also go online. We have I'll say two main platforms. One is called Encuentra 24, which is the most popular one. Yeah, most of the clients go there and they will find right now mostly property posted by real estate agents or real estate companies. There are a few for sale by owners, as you know, like per usual everywhere. But mostly you will find the properties there, and then you will contact the agent, and you will decide what agent you want to work with.
Okay. Okay. So Encuéntrame 24 is one of the
Yes,
websites, almost like a Zillow where people go
that
on.
will be like our silo, correct?
Sounds great. Now, if somebody wanted to purchase a property, is most of it cash out there? Like, I know in the United States we have different programs. Like, we have like an FHA loan, we have conventional loans, we have low down payment, we have down payment assistance, we have
Mhm.
30-year fixed, we have variable rates. There's a lot of different products. What do the loan products look like in Panama?
Well, our banking system is very conservative. Is very different than the banking system in the United States or
Mhm.
Canada. Right now, because of COVID, many banks have changed their policies, and it's a little bit more difficult for foreigners to obtain financing here. It used to be easier, but you can still obtain financing here for a second home or an investment property. It depends on the bank. We have many banks to work
Mhm.
with. Um, for a foreigner, you're looking at a 30 or 40% down payment. What the banks are going to ask from you as a foreigner are your last two income tax returns, proof of income, banking movements. Once you are approved for financing here, the bank is going to request a life insurance to back up the loan and fire insurance for the property as well.
That's awesome. They don't require life insurance in the United States, so that's kind
Exactly. We're very
of
conservative. The reason why the bank here requires the life insurance is because if you pass away, the life insurance is going to pay off the loan with the bank, and your heirs are not going to have to uh, deal with the bank, or the bank is not going to have to deal with them. The property will go to your heirs directly.
yeah. What about like in the United States, like the loans are like longer term, like there's a 30-year fixed loan. What do the interest rates look like? Like I know that there's variable, meaning it goes up and down based on where the marketplace is. How does that work in Panama?
We do have long-term loans here as well. In Panama, because the banks are very conservative, they will just lend you money up to the age of 75. So if you are 50, you're going to get up to 25 years. If you are 60, you're not going to get more than 15 years on your loan. So the top will be 75. There are a couple banks, uh, mostly banks from the government, that will go up to 79 or some, but the rule is 75, up to 75 years of age. And we do have different interest rates depending on the value of the property. Also, if it's a new property, we manage something that is called preferential rate, which can be anything from 0 to 3.5%, because the government will subsidize the difference in the interest rate for up to 10 years, depending on the different prices of the property. The preferential interest rate will cover properties, brand new properties, up to $180,000. After that, you will not be eligible for the preferential interest rate. If it's your first property, it also has to be your first property and residential, for residential purposes, to get that. If it's not in the preferential interest rate, then the average right now, because it may vary, because of inflation, but right now the average is 5.75%.
Okay, and that's
And,
as a
and 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 that's for your primary residency. If it's an investment property, it can go up to 7%, and so on. It's case by case.
Has it always been like I know in the United States the rates have been a lot lower. Just recently they started going up. Have you guys noticed an increase in interest rates as well too, or
Not
that
yet.
kind of been has that always kind of been like the average, like somewhere 5.75 to 7 on investment, and then the
Well,
preferential rate up to three
for
seven.
for the past 15 years at least, that has been the average, anything between 4.75 and 6. In the past it was higher, but conditions have changed. Right now we're still on the 5.75%, but I can see that because of inflation, we
Go up.
may get higher interest rates in the near future.
And then are these fixed rate, meaning like they're fixed for like the length of time, or are
No,
they
no,
fixed for a
not
certain amount
really.
of time, and do they or and then they vary? Because I know that there's different types of loan structures.
Yeah,
Um,
well, the normal mortgage loans here are variable. It's very weird or difficult to find some of those loans with the fixed interest rate. You can also take a loan against money that you have in a CD, and then you may be able to negotiate to have a fixed interest rate. There are different types of loans, of course. We're
that's
talking
awesome.
about the most general cases.
But even then, it sounds like the rates have been pretty consistent, at least for the last 15 years. You know,
Yeah.
so even if it is variable, it sounds like there's a good level of consistency.
Yeah,
Um,
we have a very stable economy. You know, Panama has a dollarized economy
mhm.
since 1903 that we became a republic. The American dollar is the legal currency paired with our balboa, which is the Panamanian currency.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, oh, I know that you said that they loan up to the age of 75. What's the max term of a loan? Like, let's say somebody is 30. Does that mean could they get a 45
35,
year loan?
35 years.
35
Of
is the
Yeah,
max.
it's the
That's
maximum I have seen. Yeah.
okay. Cool. Awesome. And then, like, let's say, like, what would you say are prices like? And what are some of the most popular areas to maybe buy, like in Panama?
Yeah, there are three main areas where foreigners like to look for properties. Of course, Panama City, and Panama City has different neighborhoods that people like to check when they come to Panama. For example, Costa del Este, which is one of the newest developments closer to the international airport, and Santa Maria, which is really the newest one and the trendiest. Properties in that area range from 200,000 to $1.5 million, depending on um, what the property features, etc. Santa Maria has a new golf course and is 5 minutes from the Tocumen International Airport. Then you have the area of Punta Pacifica,
Hmm.
and then the oldest neighborhoods in the city like El Cangrejo, O Barrio, San Francisco. You know, almost from everywhere you get ocean view in Panama. You know, we're a very narrow strip of land, and we have oceans on both sides. And then after that, you would like to go some 50 minutes from the city to the Panama Pacific beaches. The beaches in in Panama City, we don't swim in those beaches in the city. There are, I think the closest one is Playa Bonita, which is in the Veracruz area, 15 minutes from here. You can swim in that one, but people prefer to go 50 minutes from the city to the area of Coronado, San Carlos, Chame, um, up to Rio Hato, where there are different clusters. The oldest one being Coronado. Coronado is the oldest beach community in Panama, established in the early 50s. It's like the epicenter of all the commercial activity in the beach area. But there are several new developments with golf courses, ocean access, and it depends on your budget and the size of the property you want. You can get an apartment in an oceanfront building with side view, two bedroom, 800 square feet, for $170,000, for example. I sell those. If you want one, please call me. You get your referral.
That's so awesome. That's cool. Cool. So, I obviously you can get like a condo or is that a condo or is that a house?
That will be a condo, but you can get a house, not oceanfront, for 150, 250, depends. It depends on the
Location.
finishes, proximity to the ocean, if you want ocean view, the neighborhood, if it's an older neighborhood or a newer neighborhood. I mean, Buenaventura is the trendiest one in from my point of view in that area, and there you're looking at properties that range from 600 to $2-3 million. It depends. It depends on the budget. I mean, there is everything. There is something for every budget.
Yeah. What would you say like a $2 million property is like? Is that like a 7,000 square foot home? Is that a 5,000 square foot home? Is that like a 3,000 square foot home? What would you say in terms of like size of lot? Like what does that typically get you?
It depends on the area where you want to be. A $2 million home in Panama City will not buy you the same than in the Coronado area. We're
Yeah.
just in the Coronado area. After that, there is a third area that foreigners also like to check, which is the Chiriquí area
Mhm.
in Boquete. And I understand most foreigners like that area because of the altitude and the weather is cooler there. You know, Panama is very hot, is warm all year round.
Mhm.
We only have two seasons to say something. We have the rainy season and the dry season. The rainy season lasts 9 months. This is the rainforest. So it depends. If you want to buy in Boquete with $2 million, you're going to buy a huge state, probably a coffee plantation, if with nice finishes, swimming pool. If you buy in the Coronado area, as I said, if you buy in Coronado, $2 million will buy you a big property as well, ocean front. And if you go to Buenaventura, you may get something smaller. So it all depends on where you want to be and what you want to have in your property.
That's awesome. Cool.
But $2 million buy you a lot of property in Panama.
Yeah. What about
Uh,
I know that it's Balboa and then the US dollar. What about the cost of living? Like, let's say for somebody that is not, like, let's say I'm a foreigner, I want to maybe go out there and retire out there. Like, what would you say, like, a cost of living is? Like, if I wanted to maybe have even like a in-house maid, if I wanted
mhm. Yeah.
maybe have some like food, what does that typically
Mhm.
look like
A retired couple, for example, in my experience here, they're looking at living comfortable, having somebody coming to clean your house, including entertainment, medical expensive. Uh, you could be well off with $2,500 a month, 3,000,
a month?
and it could be. I mean, and I'm talking about having like a really nice lifestyle, but you could live here nicely with $1,500 one person in a medium class neighborhood.
That's awesome. Good. Does
Mhm.
that include just food and like maid services, or does that include housing costs as well too? No,
That
right?
includes housing, yeah, your
Housing.
housing costs, medical. I mean, provided that you don't have any major medical issues, entertainment, yeah, going out to eat a couple times a day, groceries.
That's awesome. So let's
Mhm.
say that I go out there, I find a real estate agent, I've got my loan taken care of. Like in the United States, there's two different systems. One of them is called escrow, and that's typically in the West Coast, and then there's lawyers, and that's
Mhm.
typically in the East Coast. What does
Mhm.
that process look like? What is a typical close of escrow time frame? Like can
Okay.
escrow close in 5 days, 45 days?
Yeah, in Panama, we don't manage escrow or title insurance. It's a very different way to do business here, and there are a couple ways to protect your money once you decide to buy a property. If you decide to buy a property, whether it's cash or is through bank financing, the way to do it is you have to pay the down payment directly to the owner of the property and write a promise to sell agreement. It will be better if you have a lawyer overlooking the transaction to better protect your interest. And if you're buying cash, you can deposit the money in your own bank account and request from the bank a promissory letter of payment, which is basically a check with a condition that says Mr. Jose Luis Morales, Ms. Berliza Arosemena has instructed the bank to pay you the amount of $200,000 once the title clears to her name. That's because we don't have title insurance here in Panama, so that's the best way to protect you. Once the bank can verify that the
Mhm.
public registry has already recorded the transaction and your property has changed to my name, then you can go to the bank with your promissory letter of payment and pick up your check or request a wire transfer to your bank account. And this promissory letter of payment will be an insurance for both parties because I am signing over my property to, or you are signing over your property to me in this example. Um, but you know that I have the money to pay, whether it's financing or it's my own funds. The money is there. The bank is telling you we have a check to your name, but it's conditioned to the fact that the property is already transferred to the person that has instructed us to pay you this money. And it's an insurance for me that I'm not going to give you money until the title has cleared. So that's the best way to do it. There are other couple of ways you can do it, and there are very few companies that also offer escrow services here. But escrow services will be very expensive. because there are not many companies that offer that service here.
What would you say are some of the things that you've seen go wrong or that people should be cautious of as it relates to maybe selling or even buying a property?
Yeah.
Like, what are some of the
Uh,
things? Yeah.
the main thing the buyer has to do is hire either a professional realtor or an attorney that specializes in real estate to do title search, because the last thing you want to do is give 20-30% down payment of a $300,000 property and you have not checked that title, and the title has a lien on it, whether because the person owes taxes or owes a mortgage, has a delinquent payment. So the first thing you have to do is hire somebody to conduct title search and give you a report on how much money that property owes, if it has a lien on it or if hasn't paid taxes. You want to know that before you commit to give your down payment and sign your promise to sell agreement. How are we doing so far?
I think we're doing excellent. It's so interesting to me how like the process is different, you know. So like if I'm a foreigner, or if I'm an investor, or if I'm somebody looking to buy in Panama, I would say that this information would be extremely helpful for them to actually know this information. What I was going to ask you is it once you give the deposit to the seller, is it pretty much if you find out that there's liens after that, is that like impossible to get that money back? And
No,
also,
it's
one more thing,
mhm.
in the
Go
United
ahead.
States, there's a contingency period. Like in the United States, you have a certain, like you accept my offer as a seller, then I have 17 days to do any inspections in the property, meaning title insurance and everything, to make sure that I'm satisfied. After the 17 days, I remove that contingency and then we close escrow. Is that similar or different
No,
in Panama?
not at all. Here, before you commit to sign the promise to sell agreement or give a down payment or even a reserve, if it's not a brand new property. When we talk about brand new properties, it's different. You go to the developer and you pay. I mean, it's a brand new uh, property. The title just was just born, so you're not likely going to find any problems with that. We're talking about resale. Here, the process is you find the property you like. Either your real estate agent or your attorney request from the owner the property number, which the property is recorded with in the public registry, and then you can conduct the title search, make a report, and you request from the owner the document from our Internal Revenue Services, which is called DGI, showing if the property is exempted from paying taxes, because we have properties that are exempted up to 20 years, others are exempted up to 5 and 10, depending on different taxes table. You want to see that the property doesn't owe taxes, and if it does, because it may happen that those taxes the owner can pay off with the down payment you're giving, and in the promise to sell agreement you're going to write down that the down payment that you're giving is going to be used towards paying the taxes or whatever needs to be clear. And I mean, if something goes wrong, you can always use the promise to sell agreement to request your money back. What our civil code here says is that if you sign with me a promise to sell agreement and we have a term, of course, to close, let's say 30, 60, 90 days, it depends on what we agree. And 3 days before the closing, you say, Berliza, I decided I don't want to buy the property, then you lose your down payment. If I decide 3 days before the closing, Jose Luis, I'm not going to sell you my property because I found somebody that is going to pay me more, then I will have to give you back your down payment plus an equal sum as indemnization for making you waste your time. So you need to hire an attorney to write this document for you, protecting. I mean, each party actually needs to have their attorneys writing up this promise to sell agreement, covering all these different contingencies.
That's crazy. So if the seller wants to back out, they would have to reimburse them the down payment and equal amount
Yeah.
to what they did for making them waste the time. That's really
Mhm.
do
Yeah,
people?
because otherwise, And it makes sense because let's say you're coming from California to buy a property. You came here, you sold the property, you spend money in your airplane ticket, your stay, you hire an attorney, and you gave me $20,000 down payment. You go back to California, you start moving money, doing these things, all that costs money. And then you come back to Panama to close, and I decide I want to sell. Here are your $20,000. What happened with the rest of the money that you pay? I mean, you need to get something
Yeah.
for damages, you know. So it makes sense.
That's awesome. And then you said that the money gets transferred to the seller's bank account at the very beginning. Like over here, the money gets transferred to an escrow account. So like the
Hmm.
escrow is the holder. My concern with transferring the money directly to the seller, can it ever
Hmm.
happen when there's where the seller like almost goes missing
Your attorney can put a lien on that property.
at that point? So you're protected basically either
Yeah,
way.
yeah. What I most people here, they sign the promise to sell agreement in a simple document and go to the notary for authentication of the signature. In my practice, in my office, we the promise to sell agreements, we record them right away in a public deed, and we register it with the public registry, and it puts a lien on the property until the closing day, and nobody can go and lift it but the owner of the document, which is the person promising to buy.
And that's why it's important to work with the right people. Because if you
Exactly.
don't do that, they could essentially sell the property to two different people, collect two or three different deposits, and then almost disappear. But by doing that, that protects
Exactly.
the
That
consumer
protects you.
from being able to do that. You might be asking, over here, the seller pays for all commissions. They pay for both the buyer's agent and the listing agent. How do commissions work out in Panama? Just out of curiosity.
Okay. Here is customary that the seller, I mean the person listing the property, will pay the commission as long as that owner has signed a contract or an agreement with the real estate agent that is bringing the client to buy
Yeah.
the property. But we can also be hired by a buyer and
Mhm.
sign a buyer's representation agreement, and the buyer will have to pay the commission in that case. But that's not the rule. I mean, the rule is that the seller pays the commission.
Yeah. Okay. And it sounds like there's also negotiations as well too. Like if somebody finds like an off the market deal, you can negotiate that as well.
What I
Well,
did.
what I was trying to say is that are most of the sales that happen through real estate agents out there, or most of the sales that happen like owner to owner? Because I know in the United States, a very large percentage happens real estate agent to real estate agent. Very small percentage happens owner to owner. They do happen. I know in other countries like Mexico,
Mhm.
most of them happen owner to owner,
Not
almost without
here.
not
Not
there.
here. Here is almost the same than in the United States. In the past, maybe it was owner to owner, the highest percentage, but right now is most
Real estate
of the
agents.
times there are agents involved, and most of the times there are two agents involved, an agent for the listing agent and the buyer's representation agent. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much, as long as you have an agreement signed with the owner of the property. I don't know if you're aware of this, but right now in Panama we are in a buyer's market.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you
Mhm.
next if we were in a buyer's or a seller's market. So, for our viewers that maybe don't know what a buyer's market is, what does it mean to be in a buyer's market?
A buyer's market means you have more inventory than demand, more people selling than people buying. And when you have more people selling than people buying in the real estate market, is like any market, like prices have to be adjusted or go down so you can sell, so your property is more attractive out there. Because if you have one buyer and 10 properties to show, that one buyer, you know what they say, cash is king. That one buyer rules and will request will request, something, one more bang for their dollar. That's what happens in a buyer's market. People have to compete. You have to offer something good. Your property has to be well presented, or you have to leave furniture or something. You have to be attractive to sell, and the price has to be right.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, good. So there's basically negotiations that happen right now because of the type of market that we're in at the moment. Are you seeing prices come down at all in Panama right now because we are in a buyer's market? And if so, kind of maybe talk to us about a little bit about what you're seeing in terms of prices. Um, what what have prices been like in the last 10 years? Have they appreciated? Have they depreciated?
In
Uh,
the past 5 years, prices had to come down. Now we're more stable, but prices definitely had to come down within the last 5 years. And but it will also depend on the area where you want to buy. There are prime areas that the prices have not gone down at all, and they're still selling very well. You know, like and after the pandemic, well, we're still in the pandemic, but after the quarantines and all that, the restrictions, we have seen more people wanting to buy houses in the beach area or mountain, because people don't want to be restricted in small apartments anymore.
mhm.
So those areas have not depreciated at all. They are appreciating actually.
Appreciated.
Mhm.
Yeah. What about like investments? Like, do you get a lot of people buying out there for investments, or is it mainly like people that want to live and use the property?
We have both, and I also have many clients that buy to live and also buy two or three more properties for investment. Um, it, Many people like to buy in the beach area because there are no restrictions for Airbnb in that area. In the city, Airbnb is restricted because there is a law, an incentive for hotels, and that protects the hotels that nobody can rent for less than 45 days in the city unless the building has a special license. So many people will buy in the beach area to put those properties on Airbnb or short term rentals and make extra money.
Yeah. What would a good investment look like? Maybe like, can you give us an example? Like, okay, I buy a property for 250,000 in this beach. I can maybe get X amount of dollars as an Airbnb, or I can get X amount of dollars as a traditional rental. Can you give us maybe one example or a couple of examples of different scenarios, just so that our viewers can kind of get an
Mhm.
idea? Maybe like, yeah,
Sure. Remember, I mentioned at the beginning of the interview that you can buy a 700, 800 square feet apartment in an oceanfront building. Well, those apartments you buy for 159 and $160,000 if you buy cash with the developer, and it will cost you another $25,000 to furnish it and condition it to rent it. And I can tell you for a fact, here we manage many of those apartments on Airbnb and short term rentals for our foreign clients. And those apartments are rented out at least 20 days out of a month. And homeowners association fees, for example, in that building that has tons of amenities is only $105 dollars a month. That's very important too. In Panama, your homeowners association fees and insurances are very low in comparison with what you have to pay in the United States. We are a hurricane-free country, so our insurance in an oceanfront property is not going to be as high as in Florida or California. Um, and so you, for me, those are really good investment properties, and you're looking at a return on investment of 5%, which is not bad for how the market is right now. Because as you know, I mean, if the market is not good, also the rentals are low. Rentals went down 40% within the past 5 years.
wow.
So you need to look for a property that will actually give you a good return on your investment for rentals, or if you want to resell, because we're talking right now about investing to rent and make like immediate money, but you can also invest in property that you will resell for a good price. You can buy repos. I like to buy repos or properties from people that are divorcing, that kind of stuff, that you
Yeah.
can have equity in the long term. So it depends on what kind of investment and how long you want to wait for your return.
Yeah. If you buy an investment property, um, or let's go back to that one. So you said they could rent for about 20 days a night on an Airbnb. What would a nightly rate be for something like that? Like a hundred
Those
dollars?
little apartments, I believe, Gabriel here in the office manages those. He told me yesterday, just yesterday, I asked him, it was $109 a night, and the person also pays for the cleaning service on top of
Yeah.
that.
So maybe it brings in like 2,000 plus for a building that you're into it for 185,000 after
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
refurbish it. So yeah, it usually I have a rule. It's called the 1% rule. So like if
Hmm.
it costs you 200,000, you should be able to rent it out for 1% of that, which would be $2,000, and that looks like it fits that rule. Do you get a lot of people just buying raw land ever in Panama to like build houses, or do you mainly get people buying the finished product? What is best? Is it best to buy the raw land and kind of just build it and develop it, or is it best to almost just buy directly from a builder or like even somebody that's getting divorced or a bank
This
lease?
will be a case by case thing.
Mhm.
In my experience, because my target client is a retiree. You know, most people when they are over 65, they don't want to deal with building, especially no if they don't speak the language. You know, it's very hard for them to start from scratch. When you retire, you want to relax. You don't want to come here and be dealing with constructors and in a different culture that you don't know how to deal with. So most of my clients prefer to buy something that is already built, and pref- preferable if it's a property that is brand new that you can buy directly from a developer. There
Mhm.
are a few adventurers that will go, like rent a property close by to the lot and build themselves, but that's not the main case. It's not the rule, and I would not advise you to do that. You can do it probably because you are younger and you speak Spanish, so maybe you can handle that. But if you are a foreigner that doesn't speak the language and you're older, I wouldn't advise you to do that. It will be very expensive because you will have to hire somebody to be like your intermediary, and that will probably double the cost of the building.
Yeah. What would you say, like in California, like you can build at $300 a square foot? That's like a good deal. 250 is like a really good deal per square foot. Do you guys have something like that for Panama as well too, where if somebody wanted to build?
Yeah, I had clients from California recently here, and they had seen a condo for $250,000, and they mentioned to me that they could never afford something like that in California because they will have to spend 1.5 million to $2 million to buy a property with that view and that size. That was 2,000 square feet apartment
That's
with
great.
ocean view. Yeah. Yeah, and there is a report that Encuentra 24, the webpage I told you that is like our silo, recently shared with the clients that real estate agents that use their platform, that I will share with you so you can have an idea of the prices on the different areas that I mentioned. You can maybe share that with your potential clients or investors. There are a couple other things you haven't asked me, but that are good to mention. Like Panama has many, many immigration programs to incentivize people to invest here in Panama. We have one called the Friendly Nations, in which you can get permanent residency. First, temporary residency for 2 years, and then after 2 years, you will get your permanent residency if you invest in a property that is at least $200,000. We also have an expedite permanent residency program for people that invest until October. You have to invest $300,000. If you are going to buy after October this year, it will go to up to $500,000, but you will get permanent residency within 30 days. Okay,
Wow.
that's our newest. Yeah, that's our newest program. But we have over 14 different categories of visa. I will be also sharing that information with you, and maybe you can invite me to another podcast. Well, we'll talk about that because there is a lot of information to share on that. What a foreigner mainly needs to bring to Panama when they intend to process a permanent any kind of residency for any kind of residency program is their FBI police report, their police record nationwide, and their proof of income. And all those documents have to be authenticated either before the closest Panamanian consulate or apostille with the Secretary of State on the state that this person lives. Well, we normally provide all that information. We take care of translations here in Panama, certified translations, and the rest of the documents. But those are the main two documents. We also have another program called Pensionado Visa, which is for retirees. As long as you have a pension, it can be from Social Security or any other annuity, collecting a minimum of $1,000 a month, you will get permanent residency as well with that program. And you're looking at legal fees for the pensionado visa or the friendly nations. Legal fees will be around $2,000. You can also negotiate that. And government expenses will be around another $1,000. And if you want to do the expedite visa, of course, that visa targets wealthy people. The government fees are higher, way higher. So, but you get your permanent residency in 30 days. And I can provide all that information to you as well.
I love
So
it.
you can share with your potential
Wait,
investors. But there are many, many ways
mhm.
you can, yeah.
No, no, keep going.
Yeah, there are many, many ways you can put your money to use here in Panama. Even if you have a pension that is lower than $1,000, if you combine that with the purchase of a property, the government will accept that as well. And we will see case by case, what works best for you as a foreigner coming to invest here in Panama.
What I love about it is that there's a policy designed to help stimulate the economy and to help make the process faster, which that's like good policies. Anytime you can do something to incentivize the economy like that, I think it's excellent.
Exactly.
So I
And
wanted
one
to
other
ask you this.
important thing,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
I wanted to ask you
one other
this.
important thing I wanted to mention.
Uh-huh.
What yeah, one of the other important things I want to mention is that there is no difference for foreigners that own property here in Panama. You will have the same price than a Panamanian when it comes to own property, because as you know, there are several countries where foreigners cannot own property. It's only for nationals. But here, as a foreigner, you will have the same rights than a Panamanian to buy property. There are a few exceptions in our constitution. For example, a foreigner cannot buy property within 10 kilometers from the borders, and that's for logic reasons. We need to protect our borders, and that's pretty much.
That's awesome. Good. Okay.
Mhm.
There's. I heard this quote somewhere. They say that Panama is the number one retirement destination. Is that true?
That's correct.
You ever heard that?
International Living has rated us as the number one country for retirement due to many, many reasons, including our immigration programs that I just mentioned, the cost of living, also how safe we are, the infrastructure. I'm talking about um, our roads and the internet connection, everything. We're very modern. I mean, if you come to Panama, once you get to the city, coming from the airport, you will see our skyline is like a little Miami. And we're a very modern country. We have the Panama Canal here as well, which ensures that our economy is very strong, and we have enough means to keep our infrastructure well. But we're a very safe country. We have the largest banking center, or the second largest banking center in the world. So yeah, those are some of the reasons why we have been rated by International Living for several years as a number one country to retire.
I think I'm gonna have to go visit Panama. I think that's what I'm gonna have.
Yeah, of course.
I, I
I'll get you a couple days free at that condo that I just sold you. The condo by the beach. I'll get you a couple days rent before you own, but I'll get it for free for
That's
you.
funny. I the only time I've ever been there was on a layover. I think I was coming from South America, and we had a layover in Panama City, but that was the only time. Anything else, Berlisa, that you think would be helpful to maybe somebody looking to invest in Panama or buy property in Panama or purchase a property in Panama?
Um, the best thing you can do is go online. We Many of us are members of the National Association of Realtors through our local real estate association. You can go there and find a CIPS, a Certified International Property Specialist. Many of us have that designation. Go there, check the different profiles, see who you want to work with, and hopefully somebody that speaks the language. That's very important. The language barrier may get you in trouble when you are going to buy a property. Don't take it lightly. The purchase of a property is probably one of the most important investments in your lifetime. You're sometimes risking your lifetime savings there. So pay for a legal advisor or a professional realtor that you have checked their background before you start to see properties.
That's
If I
awesome.
was a foreigner, I would prefer to come and sign a buyer's representation agreement, even if I have to pay part of the fees, just to make sure that I'm buying a property with someone reliable and that will protect my assets right off the bat.
That's awesome. Cool. And then if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, like let's say somebody saw enough value in this interview and they wanted to connect with you, what would be the best way to connect with you?
The best way to connect with me, you can go on my Instagram, is at Berliza Panama Real Estate. My webpage is the same name, www.berlizapanamarealestate.com. And my telephone number, plus 507-6407-9862. I'm trying to think that number in English because, English is my second language. You can tell by my accent.
Yeah, you did well though. You did very, very well.
Thank you. I'm a certified public translator as well. I have many hats.
That's funny.
We
Cool.
are a one-stop shop here.
That's great. Well, I just want to say thank you to our viewers for taking the time to watch this. We hope that this interview was helpful to you. Today's interview was episode number 125. We had Berlisa, rockstar real estate agent, rockstar attorney, rockstar translator as well too. And if you've enjoyed this episode and maybe you want to help us out, make sure to share it with a colleague, share it with a friend. If you're listening to this on Apple iTunes, make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And then if you want to get further connected with me, you can follow me on Instagram, Jose Luis Morales at Instagram. And just thank you guys again. Thank you, Berlisa. And
Thank you.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you for the invite.
Of course.
Have a great day.